do it indoors.
Indoors because of the acoustics and stuff?
No, not only that, but they do the guy that does their lights is like, he actually does lights he actually is the house guy for MSG. Like he does,
that guy
he
the
lights
fish
like
shows?
the Rangers, and like the
Knicks
and stuff. And
oh, really?
Through the years, like over the last like 15, 20 years, a bunch of like pop stars, when Fish isn't touring, have used him, or at least he designs it, and then other people, because they're like like most, like Taylor Swift, it's the same show, so everything is on like cues. So he designs it and then leaves it. For Fish, he's doing it like as they're doing it, but their light show is pretty.
This could be all right for the podcast, actually.
Their light show is pretty impressive.
I know. That's why I brought it up, but I shouldn't have brought it up before it started. Yeah, I know. That's why I was talking to him.
I'm a little bummed
because I didn't know if he already went or is going or
I'm
what.
A little bummed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're.
I'm jumping the gun here.
No, I like it because I was about to talk summer and festivals and shows, and Fish was one of them. So I like it. Dolphy brought it up.
That thing's already working.
It is, right?
So they do 7 shows in a row?
7 shows in New York, talking Fish here.
Yeah.
They do Saturday to Saturday?
No. There's a night off.
I was going to say, that would be the most...
When did they have is it a dozen? What do they do?
Yeah, the Baker's Dozen a few years ago.
And that is 12 in a row?
Yeah.
In New York?
In New York.
At MSG. Yeah, I went to a few of those.
Yeah, they can
fun.
be. They can be, yeah.
New York is fun in the city. Like seeing them in different...
I don't know
I've seen
about
them
August,
so many
though.
times now. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah, that's...
And indoors, but it does make a difference.
Indoors is better than outdoors in August, probably in New York.
Yeah.
But like...
But I don't know. I think it's fun at this point. I've seen them so many times. It's fun, like, seeing them in places where, when you're out of the show, is like New York is crackling. Seeing them in Vegas is fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's
like,
Vegas. We've done 2 of them in Vegas.
Yeah.
2 of them, yeah.
And, like, there's enough, they get enough people where, like, when you're in Vegas, you can tell, even though Vegas is usually no fishes in town, because you just see the people out there.
What's the best Fish show you've ever been to in your life? How many have you went to first?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know. Some people keep count. I can't tell you what I did yesterday, but I'd say.
But you've been to over 50, way over 50.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
probably probably close to 100.
Well, it's been for the past 20-some years, more than that, right?
Yeah, my first show was in '94.
Oh.
And then also...
That was the year I was born.
A couple years. Yeah. It was actually '93. It was in Great Woods. A lifeguard at the swim club took me, which was kind of cool. She was in college at the time. I was only in junior high.
And she knew you like him?
Sure. Yeah. She was always making me mixtapes.
Yeah.
And I would listen, and she played me them, and I'm like, man, these guys are cool. And I think she thought it was fun showing them me. They weren't that big then, and we went to Great Woods, and they weren't. It was empty looking back now, and I didn't quite understand.
Oh, the show was empty. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just starting to play like jump to Great Woods is a big place. They were big enough to play it, but not like now it's packed. You know. And it was like my first time being amongst, all these hippies, and people were definitely smoking grass. I didn't even know what it was. I remember the smell, and then I remember, like 6 months later, getting high for the first time, and when it lit, I'm like, oh my god, that's smell. That wasn't those people. I was just assuming I'm like hippies really stink. Thought that's what it was, but it wasn't. They were just But then I didn't see him for a few years, and then from through college, through the end of high school, like '97, for a few years, I logged on a ton of shows. And then they did that comeback right on. Yeah, and then they stopped playing 2009? 04 for a little bit, but from '97 to '04, I caught him. And then with the 5 years, was it 5 runs of, you log on a bunch of shows for the course of a week. Yeah, catch him. And they took 5 years off, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. The city is fun to see him in, though.
So is that number one? MSG?
It's tough, man, because they also did like back when I was in high school, college, they did festivals where they'd go to airport. They'd get Loring Air Force Base in what's that in Maine? I'm trying to think of it. It's way up there.
Bar Harbor.
No, even further. Limestone.
I don't know. Yeah.
We drove for like 7 hours. We're still in Maine. Weren't in Canada yet. It's like, honestly, it's late.
Deep. That's deep.
Yeah. There was actually, when we drove in, the town is so small that there was like a line of traffic that went for like 7 hours. Like once you got there, you just sat in traffic. It was like there was a parade. People have nothing going on in this deep in Maine. They were sitting out front like chairs, like people were on parade and just watching the fish traffic come in, and people were just stopping there and partying in the road because you'd be stuck for like 2 hours. People were like renting out their bathrooms to use. There was all the, making a buck. You get there and then they close you off. You're not allowed to leave. So you're there. You could, but you can't come back in. But they close you off, and like a whole town sets up. There's like a post office. There's also, when you live there for like 2.5 days, and there's no laws as long as it's lawless.
That's pretty cool.
Basically, yeah. And you live in. They did these festivals. It was just them, and they'd play 2 sets Friday, 2 sets Saturday, 2 sets Sunday. And then otherwise, you just be camping the whole time. The only downfall was...
And they had no other music going on in between that?
No. And
just what you guys were playing or whatever.
Yeah, or they'd have like sometimes like a little DJ with them. Not at the main stage, but people just set their own stuff. Or people would bring their own speakers in and would just be like playing. It would just pop up. It was just like this little... But they would get like... There'd be like 75,000 people at those things for just them.
Isn't that amazing?
Just them playing 2 sets a day. So it would be like a kind of a small part of the day, and then you're living this... Those were really fun. Those might be some of my favorite. And I was young then. You're like
it's a different...
Because it wasn't like commercial really at all. It was just...
No, it was just like... It's amazing that they could do it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's kind of why they got so big, because they provided that space for people without anyone else. You do that, and you're like, I'm going to do it next summer. And they did it for a bunch of summers in the row through the early 90s when, like, I don't know, now there's a million festivals. And they happened back in like the 60s and the 70s, but they weren't as big. Like now there's like festival season. I feel like those guys kind of put it back
together
on. Well, just put it back on the map a little bit. I think they were still happening, but then promoters were seeing that they were getting 75,000, this band that like
it's almost really like it never went mainstream.
Yeah, that's when and then Lollapalooza starts happening. There was like the Horde tour before them, all this stuff. I feel like they kind of helped get it back on, and now you can go on festival tour in the summer if you want to. There's so many of them.
It's fun. It's
around,
fun, man. There's so many shows around. Like you've been a lot, but even the one that we went, I wanted to talk about it. A month ago, not even a month ago.
Yeah, I'd go see that guy again in a heartbeat.
Me too. Michael Franti. Yeah.
Spearhead? No?
No.
Yeah, really. There was such a good vibe show.
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't expect that.
Summer.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, he would be a
show
to catch.
Right?
Where was it? Harbor Lights or whatever.
Yeah. In Seaport.
Bank of America.
Is that what it's called now? They keep changing it.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, we're talking about it. Boston's
Pavilion.
fun this summer, man. It's a lot that you can do.
He's the perfect guy for that place, man. Big tent, and then you're on the water. There's trees in there. It was like a party. There was people there with kids, ton of kids.
I know,
a lot of families, and he was actually throughout the show. He was just pulling different people up from the audience who would get on stage and just kind of like sing and dance for a little bit. And then they would get off, and it was like he kind of made the audience part of
it.
It's cool. Like, yeah.
It was nice. So good feel.
That guy's good.
There.
He's got you would know who there's so many songs that you would know that you wouldn't even realize was him.
Who did you see? It was a good show too last week.
Billy Strings.
Yeah, Billy Strings.
Yeah.
That was a good one too, right?
Yeah, bluegrass, but like jammy bluegrass. Really good guitar player, great banjo player. That was
Brian said he really enjoyed it.
Dude, it was so funny seeing him there, man. I turned around and I saw Brian Leahy Sr. was there. I turned around and he was just like, we were right by the back here, and I turned around and he happened to look at me, right? I looked at him. I'm like, what? So he came over and
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just like, that was such a good show.
Dude,
he was such a good guitar.
That's what I know. It's like the people we were sitting with had never seen this guy either. They were actually it was a husband and wife that, like, we're at a little table together. So I introduced ourselves and we're talking. I'm like, oh, you familiar with this guy? And they're like, no, we're just we take a trip to a different city each year for a week, and we try to soak in as many things in that city as possible. Cool. They're from Tennessee, and they're catching a bluegrass act in Boston. I'm like, dude, you could have probably caught this guy closer. And they're like, we've done a bunch of things, but one of the things we wanted to do. We're staying in this area. We knew there was a concert venue, so we just saw what was here one of
So
the
they were
nights.
staying in the seaport.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and just by luck, by the way, that concert had been sold out. They didn't realize like there was people trying to pay ridiculous prices.
Oh, really?
For those tickets, but they planned their trip, 8 months ago,
Wow,
and when they got the tickets real early, and it just happened to be and they were like, and they like seeing live music, so it wasn't like they were fish out of water, but they're like, man, this guy is unbelievable. I'm like, yeah, I looked back, and by the end of the night, dude, they were sitting down with Brian.
They did.
Yeah, we had this big. I'm like, these guys are old friends. He was like, one night, I think he was like, your friends are great. I'm like, my friends. We just met them. We just met them at the beginning of the concert.
It is cool to when you go to those places and you really listen to people and talk to them.
Sure.
All the stories that you hear. Everybody has their story, man. Just listen.
Yeah, and there's a common interest right off the bat.
Yeah.
Which those shows, like most of the jam band types, just to have a set break.
Yeah.
Which is perfect because now you have like 35 minutes to sit and kind of like we sat there and got to know these people a little bit.
When we were in Austin, we went to this so a couple of shows, a couple of like bands. They were about to go on a comedy show, and we stopped at this place to get some food. And people next to us, we just started talking. And man, what was it? 20 minutes or so?
Oh my
that
God.
we were dying laughing, all of us on whatever. This guy I've never seen anybody crack Kev like this guy did.
Oh, that guy was hilarious.
He started like, wait, this guy, doesn't have one wrinkle. If this guy has one wrinkle ever, I'm gonna turn around and walk home. Yeah, he had a funny bit on that, man. So cool.
We covered a lot of ground with those people.
Yes,
too.
yeah.
They
He was
knew
actually
about my
defending.
kids, they knew about they knew about River. We knew about their kid. Like it's amazing with total strangers.
Yeah.
Within an hour, when you're
That's
like
it.
getting to know
Just
people,
talk
you
and
cover
listen,
so
yeah.
much. Yeah, you cover a lot of ground.
That guy was ready to
quickly.
defend Kev's chair.
Yeah.
Kev went to the bathroom. Or something.
No, you went to the
I
bathroom.
went to the bathroom. Oh, okay.
So I stood up because we were leaving, and like some dude pulls in to like sit in the chair where me and Raras had been sitting, and all of a sudden he gets up and he's like, "Hey man, this guy's sitting here," and the guy's like, "Well, he's not now." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute." I'm like, "We're actually leaving," and then he right away he was like, "Oh, sorry." I'm like, "Wow, though, thank you."
He was loyal. Yeah, it was.
He was a good guy. He was a good guy.
It was. Speaking of shows, did you see Seinfeld's coming? October.
To where? The Garden?
No, to the Wilbur. Yeah.
Wilbur, yeah.
Or whatever it's called. Some one of those. Or the Wang.
The Wilbur? Is it the Wang? Is it where we saw?
Yeah, the Wang. Yeah. I think that's where. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wilbur might be smaller. It might be the Wang. The Wang's
I think it's the
nicer
Wang.
anyways.
Yeah, I think it's the Wang. I think it's that one. That's where we saw Borgazzi. I rewatched that guy.
I wonder when those tickets go on sale.
I think they're already on sale. I think I saw something popping up. I think they're on sale. He has got 2 shows on a Saturday.
Love to see him.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And I just rewatched Borgazzi, man. I watched a bunch of those. Not all
he's
the
got
ones.
a bunch up on.
Yeah, that guy's
He is
funny. He's really
Very relaxed.
so relaxed.
Delivery.
And Gervais has his new tour coming. Actually, not coming. Starting in, I think it's all England.
I wonder why doesn't the Cabot do comedians? Are there ever comedians there? They're getting their musical lineup.
That would be an amazing venue for that.
That would be
actually.
a great venue because it's not that
That would be a
big,
great
and
venue.
like there's the size of it. There's got to be certain comedians that would fill. That
Sure, man.
I don't know what it holds, but it's got to be
Yeah,
strange that they
because there's a bunch of Boston guys that would be a hit there,
dude,
right?
absolutely.
Like,
Or it just brings you, it gets you like that's why
Right.
sometimes there's some bands that have stopped in Boston and then in here it just brings you a little bit
Right,
further up
yeah.
this way, and then people a little bit further,
Do you know
coming
who
down.
brings the Rockport one? That one brings some good names too, and that's far. Speaking of like coming slightly outside of Boston,
Is
the
that-
Shane
that-
Liu? I think that's the name of it. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but that one they bring some cool musicians and
yeah.
performers. I'm not sure if comedians though, but I know they have some good names. So that's pretty far from Boston. They still
Yeah.
do it. But yeah, Seinfeld I would like to catch. I think it's October. That'd be nice. And it made me think that Ron White, man, I would like to, because he's what he was saying last time I heard him talk about it, that this might be his last year traveling.
Really?
Yeah, he'll do comedy, but he's like, I'm not gonna travel. He's like, I don't want to. I think his exact words like, I don't want to die in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting old. I'm
Is he
gonna
that
stay.
old?
65 or so. He looked always like a chill dude too. Just
Yeah.
Not really. I love his delivery, man. That guy.
I don't know if that's just for the stage or what, but I've never seen him without a cigar in his mouth and like sipping on some bourbon. If he's living like that,
he stopped drinking, or at least
really?
He was up until a year ago. Yeah. He stopped drinking, and he said wasn't sure what it was. It's pretty funny. It's like I'm not sure if it was the hypnosis guy that I went to, or it was the ayahuasca trip that I took in Costa Rica. But he said it was done. It was done with drinking. You know, he has that on stage, but just I don't think there's alcohol in it, or at least up until a year ago.
Yeah.
Things might have changed. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Stick a little ginger ale in that cup and it'll have the same effect.
Yeah.
Some of it I almost feels like it's part of his comedy. Like there's ways like he would before he would deliver something and then sip. You kind of like, you know, it is. It's like the way he would do it. Now if you cut that out, like you need something. Put a little ginger ale in that glass. Good to go.
Do something. You know? Yeah. One of my friends came last week, 2 weeks ago, and we were chatting, and big football fan, but soccer fan, and he was talking about this Santiago Bernabeu, which is the stadium for the Real Madrid, arguably one of the biggest soccer teams in the world. But watch this. I'm trying to pull this up. How the stadium those guys are either planning on building or already built. It's so crazy, man. They have moving. We can watch it later. I don't need to.
A new stadium for Real Madrid.
It's a new stadium, but it's got fields underneath. Right, so they change the pitch. So if you have a part of the field that is off, they have grown grass 7 levels, something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So they just shift and they change, and they change parts of the field. It is insane. Which we always talk about Wimbledon, how the grass gets beat by then.
Yeah, you're saying.
Fast forward 10 years, will that happen in Wimbledon? Because
they're rotating.
Yeah,
because they have like the Arizona Cardinals have the field that the grass rolls in on.
See, so it's something
they do?
Yeah, so they like grow it. I guess it's really hard. Like they couldn't grow real grass in the stadium, so they grow it out like, I don't know, next to the stadium, and then it's on wheels, and there's wheels into the stadium. But it's smart because then they could make a whole new field. You know what I'm saying? They could have 5 of those and just keep wheeling in new. But you're right. Wimbledon probably will go that way.
Check this out. It's gonna be like a if people want to watch this, they can watch the Santiago Bernabeu. It is so that it's basically like they build this new thing up. So this doesn't look like it's already built yet. I'm not sure where they are with it, but levels of grass, and they change it per stadiums. They change it per
event, probably.
The different stadiums. Sorry, that's what I meant. Per event, tennis, basketball. Right. Look at this. So this just absolutely insane how they move levels down of the field. They bring it over, and there's a new one. Boom, just ready there. So imagine if you did it at Wimbledon, you just change the grass.
So this is not yet, though. This is they're actually building this.
They're going to build this.
Isn't like a.
Well, that's what this guy told me. So let's, at least we have, we have the image.
It's either being built or is already built.
So they're building. They have the grass under. Well, it's pretty.
That's
insane,
pretty badass,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, and they show a little bit. They have their little CGI or AI version of what's going to look. It's pretty nice. But anyways, that technology goes to Wimbledon. Now you have the same surface for 14 days.
Right.
Versus it changes. I mean, I'm not sure what's better, to adapt to a different court all the time, or play on as if the court was...
wouldn't it be better to have it as fresh as it could be every time?
I would think, but I think every tournament, right, the court evolves as you play on it, other than, I will say, probably clay, because the hard courts gets
faster
as those guys play on it, and they take the grid off, and
clay definitely gets resurfaced, but throughout a match, right, it's different.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, so you have like different things too. Wow. Yeah. Pretty interesting, huh?
That is.
It's pretty pretty cool how they. But imagine that they're like, you know what? Here's what we're gonna tear down this whole thing.
But how do they build that?
I know, right?
And like,
yeah,
I don't know the size
and just
even, you know,
the engineering for it, and how much that project cost. Lots of tournaments. I wrote down a little bit. I had to go. There was like 3 right after Wimbledon. There was 3 on the guys' side, 3 the week after, and now I think there's 2 going on, 3 going on. 2. What did I put here? But DC, right? Kitzbühel, yeah, and Los Cabos. So there's 3 of them going on right now, and the big ones come next week. Toronto, right? Because Canada switches.
Yeah.
They alternate.
Yeah.
So
female, male, you mean?
Yeah, so WTA is playing in Montreal, and then the guys play. ATP plays in Toronto this year, and I think they're going to switch next. I would like to go that one next year. I think that'll be a better experience. No, Montreal.
In Montreal,
because it's closer than, I don't know, maybe an easier, not better than U.S. Open, because U.S. Open, man, it's cool, but you have to deal with the city.
They pack you in
they
there.
do pack you in.
They pack you in there.
I
went last year.
There you go, right?
My mom's. We got her tickets for her birthday.
Yeah.
It was like not that enjoyable.
No, right?
No.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a really nice like box or something there.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's a hot take, but like,
no, I think it gets.
It's just too many people. Like, especially change of like day session to night session. It is. I don't even know how that's possible. We did the day session and got out of there.
Yeah.
But
that's the right.
But
move,
like
yeah.
when we were there till like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and that's where you literally are sea to sea walking, trying to get from a court to a court or whatever. Like,
didn't you feel that? That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
3-4 years ago, before COVID, that was my last time there, and I love US Open. You know, we've been going for years.
It is awesome,
but
that experience though can make it not fun.
Because all of a sudden, your time that you were watching those side courts, it was spent staying in line to get to all those stadiums.
Right.
So, I'm like, man, I was watching like 7-8 hours of tennis, which was my whatever, good or bad, doesn't matter. But and now you reduce that at 20%,
right?
Because you stay in lines. You're like, what happened? Is it set over? Is it who won? You know, this whole it was, and like you said, they do pack you in. They do. I heard that last year they with all the new stadiums, everything else, it was around 700,000, 740,000 in attendance, and that's a lot of people to come. Yeah, no, it's over 2 weeks, but that's a lot of people in and out.
Yeah,
in and out. That's big. And, so you going this year again?
No. Yeah, I mean, I can handle crowds, but not crowds when you're just walking within it and you're stuck in one. Especially if, again, if you're leaving a concert or something like that, and then you get out and it breaks up.
I mean, literally bumping shoulders every step you walk. It's like, oh,
no way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where it happens in Montreal.
Where they do it? You never been, huh? Your sister's there. You never been?
No.
Yeah. Well, you've been to Formula One, right? That's a scene in Montreal.
You went to Formula One?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It is fun. Look, I'm not a huge racing fan, but it's more interesting than I don't know, what do you call it? NASCAR, where they're going around in a circle. Like we'd sat.
They'd come by every
we kind of sat on the corner. We did it a few times. We got the same seats, like on a corner, so you could see them come down, and they would like turn this corner, and there would be like this little juke and jive they would do, and then they'd get on a straightaway. So you'd see them come in fast, slow down, make a corner, and then they would be gone. So the noise is so. The first year we're going in, my father's telling me to wear earplugs, and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna need earplugs. He's like, you ever been to one of these races? I'm like, no. He's like, I have. He's like, he's gonna need earplugs. I'm like, dude, you're old.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. We get there, and then also we're getting on the train or the
Everybody
subway.
has earbuds
Dude,
in.
people are selling them. People walking down like, earplugs. I'm like, you want some earplugs? I'm like, no. And we get off, and as soon as we get off, there's like people with stands selling more of them. He's like, you see what's happening here? I'm like, whatever. I can hear it. But I'm like, it's not that bad. But like, we were a mile away, and I could hear it. We got in there. Once we got like a little bit close, actually, I held out until we got in there, and the first time one of those came around and then just like gasses it and goes, it's not even loud. It's
piercing.
Like high. Yeah, it's got this pitch to where instantly I was like, ooh. And my brother's like, here, take some AirPods. I'm like, oh, get him in.
I know.
You couldn't sit. You couldn't sit there. You couldn't sit there. Yeah, exactly. It like you feel it goes like it's in your head.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that got inside. I need earplugs to block that out.
Yeah. That's
it is
scene,
fun,
though.
but I also we did it like 3 years in a row. We also do the warm up race
You
the
became
day
a fan.
before, which the warm up race looks just like the real race. There's only so much race. The nice thing is it's done in like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
like NASCAR is forever, and the whole city.
Maybe
maybe a little longer, not very long.
Yeah,
and the whole city in parties.
Yeah. Montreal is
It is amazing. It's a little bit like tennis fans at the race. There's a lot of racing fans and full on racing.
Oh yes, they're just in case.
Like
we always talk about that.
That
fans,
looks.
right?
I'm like, that looks so hot, dude. How are you wearing that right now? It's
Full
like
leather.
Why do you have a fireproof thing on?
If the stands catch on fire,
dude,
he's safe. You're not.
But it's pretty wild. They. I mean, it's a huge party up there, and people rent. It's funny. People rent super badass car. I'm not really a car guy, so I wouldn't be able to name any of them, but like super badass cars that they just like to drive around in the city in that weekend, like Lamborghinis and all this stuff.
You mean okay?
People that are going
just in the city,
just to like drive around. But it sucks because you're at night. No, not like the cars that are driving. Just like
I thought they would allow you to rent them on the.
No. These are just like from super high end wherever you can rent a Lamborghini or something like that, and they just like out at night when they're out, they'll drive up and they're going around. But the problem is, the whole city is gridlock.
It is.
So they're in these like cars, and like, and then like the light turns green, and they go like 6 miles an hour to stop in traffic. So you have all these badass cars, but you can't really drive them.
Can't get past the second gear.
No, but it's it's a scene. It's fun for the party up there. The race. Have you ever been to one?
Nope. I wish I did, but
yeah,
no.
I mean, you could see one and be like, check it off your list and be like, wow, that was fun.
I used to watch it growing up, like you watch it on Sundays and all the time, like you see everything they do. But I would have a hard time being there because I don't know the sport to understand all the turns, everything they do. You hear guys, did you see that move? I have no idea.
Well, it looks the same a little bit too. So it was like the first 3 minutes, I was like, ooh. Watch that. And then once I saw the 15th car make that move.
Well, because you're stationed to one turn or one part of and everybody's going to do the same move most of the time. Maybe not always.
Do they have the earpieces like they have at the U.S. Open or like the golf? Like where you can listen to because that kind of makes the experience a little bit better. Have you ever been to the U.S. Open and had an earpiece where they're announcing the turn?
So you hear the TV.
Yeah.
Commentating.
And they talk about like the other courts that are happening and what's going on in the match, commentating golf. When you go to like a golf event and you only can see one hole, they're talking about the other holes going on. Yeah, so you can get updates, which kind of makes it a little bit.
Oh, that is cool.
So you're a little bit more part of the whole experience.
Yeah, because literally in that you have no idea who's.
I don't think
winning.
they can because everybody has earplugs.
No, they have a big board that you can look at, but still,
you have earplugs in.
Yeah.
You know.
Car comes around. I'm like, what place is it? You have no idea. It's just fucking cars coming around the corner. You have no idea.
Yeah.
People love it, though.
They do. Because especially people that are into cars. They see what they do.
Yeah.
You know, the engine, the numbers, what do they have. And
yeah.
It's 5,000.
And that's part of it. All the cars are out like the day before. It's like a full week. And we actually were down and we're like walking around and we're looking at the cars. But again, I'm not like, ooh.
Sick engine.
Yeah. Look at those tires. I'm like trying to blend in. I'm like, I have no idea. It's happening.
That would be a cool thing, dude. Going to have like a sidetrack that you can rent and you'll be locked in a very small space just to be in it, and they'll almost like remote control it.
Oh, that would be sick.
So you be inside of one.
Yeah, so like they say, all right, it's gonna go now, and you're just literally going. Wow.
I didn't realize they do. One of my Uber drivers in Austin was telling me they hold one in Austin.
Oh yeah,
but it's
do they have one now?
It's not. I didn't realize they did this. I was like, what? Where? Like, just he's like, no, it's not one of the ones. I guess F1 does it two ways. They either use like a city track or there's ones that they build. And he's like, no, it's on a built track. It's not just like running.
Miami
like
has
Montreal,
one.
It just like runs through pieces of the city.
Miami built one in Vegas, I think. No, not a built one. No, I
Just
think
runs through the
Miami
city.
goes through the city.
I thought that's what they all did, but he was saying it happens in October because he was saying
It's too hot.
he was telling me no. He was saying that's the month. He's like, if you ever come back and visit, he's like, come in October. He's like, there's
That's
the
why
Formula One race.
Football.
Yeah. There's football going on. There's the Austin City Limits Music Festival, and there's another music festival that happens down there. He's like for literally every weekend through the month of. He's like this city is. It's like the place to be. He's like the only drawback is. He's like, you're down here with 8 bazillion other people. Yeah. So he's like, you try to go to dinner, you try to go to a bar, anything you do, you're dealing with huge crowds. So you're there when it's the most fun, but like your same experience you had at the U.S. Open. You're like, sometimes it's nice to be there when there's not 8 million people around, you know?
Yeah, you want to go to a place and feel actually comfortable and don't have to feel rushed. And yeah. Although some of those barbecue places feel like that all the time. I mean, we went there on a Monday at 12 o'clock. And it was packed, the line and everything was good. It was packed. The guy was actually surprised because it wasn't. The guy that dropped us off there?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you guys are lucky.
Right.
And the line was still pretty big.
Yeah, waiting in 3 hours, line for 3 hours when you're hungry. I could go to a restaurant around here doing their 15 minutes. I'm like, sorry, no. Well, 3 hours. Who's got? You just wake up and you go. You're like, it's 8:30. Like, hey, we're going for lunch. Like, what are we doing? You have to plan that far ahead? No fucking way.
Yeah. Well,
although it was good. They give you everyone that makes the same mistake, man. We had so much food.
Yes. Yeah.
On our tray. I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, holy shit, I can't finish this. And I thought our portions were somewhat normal. I was watching people out, dude. And there's no way you can eat that much barbecue. It smells so good. You've been waiting in line. Yeah. So you're like looking, and by the time you get up there, you're like, yes, and you order all this stuff, and there's like no way you even come close to finishing it.
Yeah, we did get our plates pretty filled up there, but we barely made it then. Yeah.
Oh, I love barbecue though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
not a ton of great barbecue places around here. Like you can find.
I want to try the place in Ipswich, Rusty Can.
Oh, that's
Byfield, right?
Oh, that's the place I think you were telling me.
Is it good?
Right?
Very good. Yeah,
I heard that one was good.
We've actually got some for a party, which is catering
Rusty
to
Can.
them, and Rusty Can, really, really good.
Yeah, you were talking about that place.
And it's
what a
authentic.
strange place to find.
Yeah,
I know.
Byfield.
But if you see it there, I wonder how long they've been there because
you could tell it's good.
Yeah. It shows that they know what they're doing. They have the smoker outside. They kind of know. They have a delivery room, so they know they're gonna get X deliveries.
Right.
The delivery door.
We were talking when we were out there. Those places just smoke 24 hours.
Yeah. What do you think they do?
For the amount of food.
Yeah.
I know.
They must be. You're just smoking because it also takes a long time.
They probably have somebody.
You can't run out and be like, all right, let's throw some stuff in the smoker.
No.
We'll be good in 8 hours.
No, they know.
It's just
it's
got to be constantly.
Science,
They do, and they also, I think they kind of have. It's a science on how many they get on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think they have the right amount of.
They have all the data on that for sure.
Because they'll smoke more on a Thursday night to Friday or like however they do. Because it was.
I love all the sides too. I'm a baked bean guy, slaw, mac and cheese,
cornbread.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
What did I get? I got a banana pudding or something that was also like, I don't know why, it just called me, and I'm glad I did. I don't think I ever had banana pudding, but
yeah, I didn't try the mac and cheese at that place. But the problem with that is it's like, even
in Austin, Terry Black's,
you're like, dude, you're already eating enough food. You get a little bit of mac and cheese, 3 bites, and it's like, your body is like, you're ready to go to sleep, you know? But it is a good side.
All right, so tournaments now. That's what we were. DC.
How's my boy Eubanks doing?
He's good. He was playing. He's playing in DC. He was has a match with Eubanks. I think they're in the quarters now. Put a little weight on
him yet? We put a little weight on him since the last time. No. Guy needs to stop by Terry Black's. Have a fucking,
you know how hard it is for him to keep weight on? It's impossible.
Oh, it's gotta
that
be
guy
impossible.
can't.
Here's what I want.
He's training 4 or 5 hours a day, just sweating all day, every day. There's no way.
Where he gets a sponsor who can make a shirt with a smaller neck, man. He looks like a 7-year-old. You know, they've been like at the beach all day and it's like really pulled. They're like, it's a regular collar.
Talking about OCD, that's one of my big. I know you have. I need a collar that's like, that's big for me. Yeah,
right. Be adjusting that thing all day long. I want to adjust it for him, dude. When I went there, I'm like,
there's a lot of those guys that like off size, so it's gonna take a while for those. They might have custom made. It could be.
So what's he playing in? Where's he playing?
DC.
DC, right?
Yeah, he's playing DC. He's it was one of those. Like, they got delayed. It was raining a lot. It was a good match. It's happening probably now. It's Fritz versus Murray. I wonder they're gonna have to. What's today? Friday. I'm not sure if the quarters
are
gonna
have to push
They might have played. No, they might have played two matches in.
Is Wawrinka
in the
retiring?
day?
No, is he? Why? Did you see him
I don't
cry?
know. I thought I saw some headline
happy.
about him, tearing up at the end of a. It seemed like that was like maybe his last time playing that tournament. He was just crying at the end.
He made it to the final in Umag. I think his first final in quite a few years, maybe 5 years or so. And he was just crying like, I know it's silly to cry, but I love the sport so much, and you guys being so good. So it was just kind of emotional at the end of the match.
Okay.
He played this Popering guy, this Australian guy, and that guy was cramping in the third set, and somehow started teeing off, and came back and won against Wawrinka. That could have been Wawrinka's title, but I guess this guy I didn't see the match. I just saw a couple of highlights. I guess Alexei Popering started.
So he cramped and then just
he started going for it. Yeah, he cramped in the third set and just
nice.
went for broke.
That's what you have to do, though. You don't really have that many options.
I hope it lasts for a set. It was the last set. Because the doctor was saying, like, look, you can retire. And I was like, it's the last match. Why would I retire?
Just
Good for him.
Just go for broke on everything.
Yeah.
Ooh, though, those, you ever, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
It plays that mind game before it grabs, you know, like seizes and then let's go. Whatever it is, seizes and let's go. And you're like, oh, when is that time where it's
Such
going to.
a bad
That's what that was his gamble there, right? Because he could have injured it more.
Where was he cramping?
No idea there. I don't know what it was.
It is psychological, though, when you're on the other end playing against the guy that's cramping and you can make it like a ton of mistakes. You know, I've been in that.
You see it all the time.
Yeah. It happens
you see them
so
in absolute
often.
agony, and you're like, and then all of a sudden they're like, phew, and they lace a winner, and you're like, what is happening right now?
This guy's playing games with me. Meanwhile,
you have to find a way to like compartmentalize. I think that's you know what I'm saying, and like take the injury out of it when you're on the other. That is a really hard thing to do.
Because you start thinking all sorts of things like, right, how can I not do this guy? Is he doing this on purpose to get me off?
Yeah. And then that's something that can happen though. Like that happens a lot.
Oh, you see it all the time.
A little bit of compassion out there. You're looking across the net, and you're like,
that's a good
point. My God,
that's a good point.
How do you not feel for them a little bit?
Yeah.
And then it's like
they hit winners by you.
Yeah, or you have enough going on where you're overthinking everything that you can't even hit a ball. You know,
all the time. Happens all the time. When it does happen with those seasoned guys that kind of just. But look, it happened to Wawrinka, man. This guy's got 3 Grand Slams. He was up in the third set in the final, and it got to him. So it could really derail you.
It can also be amazingly frustrating too, because it's like this person is teetering, and you're just like at this point, you're like, I just want this person to fall off the edge and do this, yet they're still.
They're like, no, I'm
in there fighting, which is like you can feel they're just on the verge, but they're not there yet, which is any point they win is extra frustrating because you're like, how is this person now still hanging out here? You know,
it reminds me like when I was back in college, I broke my left thumb, and I had a cast on for like the second half of my junior season, and
I didn't know that.
And everybody. The first thing they would say when they started to break was, "How the fuck am I losing to somebody with a cast on?" And that's how you knew, same type of effect there. That like
you should have.
Dolphy kept it on.
I would have
3 months after.
I was still wearing it the next year.
And when they made that comment, like on a changeover, put it on my cast.
But it was literally
like now I have 2 casts.
It was like a doctor cut it off every week.
Ooh, how did that? I was gonna say.
Like he would do it like twice a week, just cut it off. It was sweaty, it was gross, but it would. People were definitely thinking about it.
What did you just slice everything?
Everything, yeah. Could toss it up with my left hand.
Oh, yeah, that's probably helps with the toss.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
You only have the 2 fingers.
Yeah, like you can't. No, nothing can go wrong. Just
That's how
no
likes to.
Oh, I thought talking.
No. Here.
Is that the
he
toss?
Found this helps. Yeah. I'm like, we're trying to get here a little bit, and he's like, honestly, this is the only way I can do it. So I'm like,
wow, that's the first time I see that type of toss.
First time I've seen it too.
Wow.
Is everything just short?
It's gotta be, unless it's like a.
Can he get it up there?
It's all over the place. He can get it up there, but it's all. I mean, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
That's some paddle. You pick your battles, and I'm like, all right, like this works, and he does it. But I mean,
that's interesting though.
There, you're like, oh my god.
If anybody's listening though, the ball is being held on top of the index and the thumb.
Yes.
And it just toss it as you toss from a shot glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like the OK sign.
Yeah, the OK sign. Yeah.
Flip down.
Yeah, and just that's interesting. Wow, that could be a theme there to see.
I was like, maybe it's easier if we bounce on the back of your wrist. Yeah. Let's go this way. See if we can do it there.
Yeah. So the match that's going on now, it's Fritz versus Murray, or it's happening today. That's going to be an interesting one. Because last week, or like 2 weeks ago, last week was Fritz won Atlanta. That Poprin won Umag, which is Croatia, and then Zverev beat this young kid. I watched him a little bit. He's actually pretty good. Frenchman, Phils, his next gen, and beat that guy in the final. But we're gonna hear from that guy. He beat your boy Rude 0-4. Good strokes. Nice, young, energetic. Yeah, some look good. And then I was watching last night a little bit of this younger American. It was playing. I'm missing his name now. Alex Kovacevic. He got to the quarters of in Los Cabos, I think. I was watching those guys last night. That was my point. It was him playing this German guy. Forgot his name, but good player, lefty. Alex Koffer, yeah. And man, you should see how sweaty those guys were. It was just, you can see through their shorts, through their shirt, everything was there. I can't even imagine. I didn't hear what they were saying.
Outside.
The temperature, humid.
Where was it?
Los Cabos of Mexico, somewhere on the, I assume somewhere very humid.
How do you even play there in August? How is that even, like?
Right. Why is it an option?
Yeah, why is it an option there?
Like, there's so many other places you could play it.
I think it's, whoever buys the tournament. But
I know, but that's ridiculous to have that in Mexico. I mean, it's 115 degrees.
Yeah.
It's funny.
On the court,
that's
hotter than that.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
And
like
running,
1/3.
It's like the X factor. Your game might not be that great, but you're like,
endurance.
You're in great shape. You're like, oh, this is my chance.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's
my
true.
chance.
That's true.
I'm gonna outlast some of these guys.
Yeah.
You know.
They were sweating. It was only 2-2. There was only 2-2 in the first set.
You know how many shirts they probably go through? Oh,
man. It was just, it was 2-2. And he was toweling off his legs, this guy.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, that's dangerous, no?
Yeah,
Australia.
What's
sweat on the court and
or just
slip.
I don't know. How about just playing in those temperatures?
Yeah.
And
Australia has the heat rule, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 109 or something like that. If it's, I think that's a heat rule. Maybe it's less.
Yeah. Well, now they have the indoor, though. I'm sure that they probably let them play in there. Yeah, but the outdoors,
they'll have to.
Yeah, I mean, 110.
Maybe.
Dude.
Yeah, maybe it's more, maybe it's less than that. I mean, it's hot. We know what 105 feels like from a couple of weeks ago.
It's crazy. I've always thought it the other way, that you can't play if it's not 35 or something, right? Isn't that a rule?
What do you mean?
Like too cold.
Yeah, it's got to be, because
there's a degree that they do it by to play tennis. Yeah, outside, like I don't know, college matches, high school matches, maybe. I don't know. I think it's like 35 or 40 or
something like that.
Right?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that changes everything, man. Like that's
and
so
your
important.
muscles in that cold, like that. That's not you could get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely.
I feel like you're definitely more prone to get hurt.
It's like playing paddle, right? In the winter, but at least you're dressed. Here, you're not. But that also affects, man, like your rackets, the stiffness of the rackets, the strings, the balls, obviously, the air quality, the ball travels it, the court too. It's a little. You should really do your homework if you play those temperatures. Same way you play the other one, in the other extreme. You play the hot temperatures. That's a ball's gonna bounce. Expect the whole court dynamic and dimensions to really get to you. Well, not get to you, but
you have it on
to really be challenging.
Outdoors.
Do people do pickle in the cold too? That seems like that. People be out there playing that.
I think.
I mean, paddle, you're on the heated court, but like
push it,
it's different than playing tennis all.
They definitely
winter,
push it longer than tennis.
Longer, but they don't in the cold temperatures.
Yeah,
or at least I don't know. I didn't hear about it, but I don't.
Maybe.
I'm seeing the pop on my tennis. A lot of those like clips pop on my phone with the pickleball. And it looks it looks pretty funny, man.
I'm surprised. Like I've been in restaurants recently where like playing on, they have screens.
Pickleball matches.
Dude, and pickleball is on quite a bit, which is like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't know.
Who was the tennis player? He just played a pro pickleball event.
Well, Query?
No.
Or Jack Sock?
Jack Sock.
Yeah, I think
Really?
he shifted to pickleball.
Oh, is he not playing tennis anymore?
That he shifted towards pickleball a little bit. I mean,
I think he just played his first event, maybe, or something.
Yeah, or not shifted, but doing it as well. I don't know how much tennis he's doing, but yeah. So he's playing a tournament. And I know Query, who retired from tennis.
Query's crazy because he's like 6'8".
Yeah, he's huge.
Paul Pruitt said he's gonna play with him because he was trying to qualify for this other tournament in pickleball.
Paul Pruitt's playing with Query.
Yeah, he was playing when he went to San Diego.
That's where Query's from. I'm pretty sure out there.
So he was at the same club that pickleball. So he's like, I'm gonna play with Query because he's trying to qualify for this tournament. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything against it. Maybe I haven't seen it played enough at a super high level, but it's still just I haven't really taken the time to even watch it on TV because I'm like, what?
No,
it feels.
It's more of a bar game.
It's like a glorified tailgating game.
That's what I feel.
Honestly, it's like a glorified tailgating game. It's like when I see
it's fun. Like it's fine to have
ping pong,
but
I'm like ping pong.
Yeah,
it's like kind of the same way.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
And
a bar
I do
game.
feel like it. I don't know. Isn't a bit of a fad right now? It's like all those
massive.
What's that store that got bought out? That's
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, like turning all those into pickleball courts.
Yeah, malls.
Like, isn't at some point? Isn't there I don't know, 15 years?
You're gonna have way too many pickleball
courts, dude. And people realize, all right, especially after everyone gets injured playing it, then they're like,
that's the point, right there.
Then they're like, it's actually not as,
We talked about the injuries that they come in the sport because you don't have enough sample size in time to see like how your body reacts to it. How do you do you need to be, because a lot of people that just pick it up and not done anything athletic for the past whatever.
Right.
Don't you think even some of the people that are maybe even like former tennis players that have still stayed active, that like the size of a tennis court, even when you're playing doubles, you realize someone hits a ball and maybe you're at a certain age and you realize like I can't get there. I'm not going to. You just don't even try for it. But where it's a little bit smaller on like a pickleball court, maybe you're like,
it's an equalizer.
You have this but you have this sense of like, ooh, I think I can get there. Which
Oh,
you
I
can,
see what
but
you're
like
saying,
getting there, you're actually doing more. Like where like tennis, you gauge it better. You're like
Yeah.
But like all of a sudden now
I see your point. Yeah.
doing something and you're like, oh, I just tore my fucking Achilles or whatever.
That's
Like,
what I found with paddle.
It's just close enough. You're like, oh, I can get there, but your body's not really ready for you to make that move.
That's a good point. That's what I found
You
with
thought
paddle.
that way in paddle?
Yeah, I did because I
You were like restricted kinda and
no, I was going full tennis footwork
oh.
on it, and there's actually you don't need to, because there's certain patterns that are going to be followed all the time, and even if they're not, you can be the off player that doesn't. But I was doing a split step every single time, and my opponent was hitting like 10 lobs in a row. My partner, and every time my opponent was hitting the ball, split step, and now that's X amount of times more movement than you should, and on that gritty court,
Right in the cold.
in the cold, yeah. So I felt the legs on that one, but it's one of those things that you don't know. Now over time, you find out. Okay, reduce a little bit your movement when you're not the primary hitter. Use very used shoes, like old shoes,
Yeah.
not new ones. So
That
you,
doesn't
at least
have
you
grip,
fight
yeah.
the grit. Yeah. And then the better you get the anticipation of it, right? You kind of feel if the ball's coming to you or not. You can read your opponents better. But you need some time, man. You need some time to figure that out too. Otherwise, same thing with pickle.
Well,
I
I
see
wonder,
that.
like, how does someone like Sock or who else was it?
Query.
Like,
Yeah.
how do they, like, when they now cross over, where do they fit in on this, the grand scheme? Like, those people I see on TV that are playing, who the hell are they?
They were tennis players,
Were they
right?
were
They
they
had
people
to
that
be.
maybe tried to get on the tour
Yeah.
and couldn't and like just stuck around? Like, is it all
Ex-tennis players.
ex-tennis players
I
that
think
played at
it's-
a very high level,
I
but
think the
not
pro
high
has
enough
to
to
be.
be?
People that are
Yeah,
playing
I think at
pro.
this,
Is that
you,
who it
you need to
is?
have some sort of racket.
And
racket sport skills.
how much training?
That's exactly.
How much training do you need
Yeah.
before you're ready to just hit the
This-
pro pickle?
Because there's no
tour?
like junior pickleball clinics, is there? That would be
No.
ridiculous.
But you're right. So
No,
what
but I
was,
don't know. That's
was,
what I
was
mean.
the
What's the-
professional curve?
Yes.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
it 3
Yes.
months, 6
Yeah.
months, a year?
Yeah,
Right.
Which what other sport
Right.
can you make it?
Well,
to
that's
the
what I'm bringing it up.
professional level
That's where now
in
it's
theory?
more of like it's a game.
Yeah.
It's a game, and you can be competitive, but a sport is,
Yeah.
to me is a little bit
Yeah.
different. There should be like, I don't know, could we train for 3 months and then be like, all right,
Let's.
let's get let's enter the, I don't know, the Beverly Pickle Open or whatever, and go from there, and like you can actually play.
Oh, you
pretty
could
well,
definitely
or
do
like-
that. Yeah, yeah. But try that with any other sport. Try that to play
No.
professional baseball after you play
No.
for 6 months.
No, impossible.
Yeah.
No, impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah,
It's
that's
getting
the
a lot of
injury.
TV time.
But
It
Jack Sock is playing professional pickleball, right? So it's like I
So
don't
I
know if
wonder
they
if
just
that's
let
'cause-
him in because of his name,
name, they
into
push
it.
it.
That's interesting. So is that going
Or-
to start to happen?
I
Are we going to
don't
start
know.
to see more
Yeah.
like known
Yeah.
tennis players like go into that? You know. I mean, Jack Sock's not that old, right? He just realized
31.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So
And he gave it a go. He had some,
Yeah,
like,
he was
would
good.
have certain tournaments where he'd be
He'd make
like
the
through to like
quarters or
quarters.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh yeah, he definitely had some.
Yeah.
I don't think has he got past the quarters in a Grand Slam? Probably not.
No.
Not that I know of, but I mean, my,
He
facts
won
on that
one
could be
master.
skewed.
He won one master. I think he won in 2016 in Paris. I think he won that master, and I got him to top 8, and he made it to the.
So clay court event or no?
No. Paris in the winter is it's
I'm
indoors.
sorry,
yeah,
the
yeah,
indoor, yeah.
Yeah.
so what are these pickle players?
So that was the
Winning.
end of the year tournament, right?
So that's the one right before Paris
Yeah,
is right before, and then it will lead right into the year-end event. I think that got him into the
year-end event.
that year. That was the year when Fed. So yeah, he's playing debut on Championship Sunday. That's the year that Fed was out, Nadal was out. That's when Fed got injured with his knee and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think they're winning for winning a tournament?
You could look it up. I have no idea.
I mean, it's got to be decent.
I think
right?
there's a lot of push. I'm not sure. I don't think
I feel
compares
like
with
I
tennis.
think pickleball has big backers, kind of.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
have some like celebrity backers that put
Yeah.
a bunch of money
Dude,
into
it seems like there's
So
constant
did- yeah.
tournaments. I
Yeah.
mean, there's tournaments. Look how often it's
Yeah.
on TV
on
here.
Tennis Channel. It's
But
on
then when
Tennis
I've been
Channel. all
out-
the
That's
time.
another. That's another
Yeah.
push.
No kidding. It's like they're really.
That's a push. But you're right. I think there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are trying to monetize it
Because
And,
they can play that and they can't play. They can't play tennis. So it's more. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense if a celebrity's going out and trying to play.
Well, that's the thing. You know how in tennis they have those like they'll have the celebrity
Yeah,
pro-ams.
Yeah.
A celebrity pickleball pro-am, like have that celebrity train.
That's a good point.
Have that celebrity hit an hour a day for a week leading up, and now all of a sudden you have it with pairing with somebody. You have a pretty nasty.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a pretty nasty match.
Yeah.
It's just
It is fun.
Again, it's like you'd expect to be going on in your backyard, not in a stadium on TV.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, some of the points are fun to watch.
It's a lot of touch, and I think somebody told me that there were people suing a town for allowing pickleball in residential
dude, it can
places because
annoying as fuck, dude. That noise,
so the noise.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Wow. So the noise, because I think it was a mom with a young kid, and kid couldn't sleep, couldn't. So I think that's a real thing.
Oh, definitely, and I don't even think it can be. You can't do it in a facility where you have tennis also, unless it's in a separate building. Yeah. Even trying, I know tennis balls make some noise, but the noise of a ball off a string, as opposed to the pickleball.
That's the $1 million idea right there. If you can get a pickleball that does the same things as one now that doesn't have a noise, or a racket that.
I mean, they must not be. I mean, why wouldn't that have been done already?
Just want it to be rubber, has to be the plastic. Half of it's plastic.
It kills, like the bounce kills any rubber.
Yeah,
is going to be too bad. Isn't that part of it? You want that hard ball, so the bounce is a little bit dead.
It's a dead bounce. That's exactly what it is.
You want that. You don't want. It's got to be that.
It's got a bit of a wiffle ball aspect to it too, because it can go off.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
The wind catch. I can't imagine playing wiffle ball or playing pickleball in the wind.
Right. I don't know. Maybe when you're. I don't know. You're
spinning it so much. Yeah.
There's a lot of this, like the dinking, right? The whole keep it short and then attack. It's a lot of hitting too. I think that's a strategy. I think it's a valid strategy. I've seen scenes and it hit somebody, people get upset. I think you have to go with the person. It's a reflex. It's a ball that barely flies. Let's not.
I was just gonna say, dude.
Let's not get upset.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't. What do you think in tennis, right? So maybe we talked about this before, but it was a specific point. Musetti versus Rune. So there's this long point. Rune plays a defense, hits this easy lob on top of the net. Well, not super easy, but middle of the service box. And Musetti's there, and Rune is in the corner, and he starts running towards the middle. Musetti hits, rightfully so, his overhead through the middle, hits him, right? And this guy's giving him like looks, like, why did you hit me? You cannot expect that guy to look at you to see where you're at when he's dealing with an overhead.
Right.
Eyes on the ball. Rule number one.
Right.
I'm not seeing you. I don't care where you. Like, what do you do? I'm going to hit my shot.
And if
so
you
getting mad.
If you don't want to get hits, don't run back through.
Yeah.
You're like putting yourself in the line of fight.
Yeah, he was getting like, and then it was all this headlines like, you're not a tennis player. Whoever writes this is not a tennis player. You can't get mad. You can expect that guy to watch you and not the ball. What do you think? No. I mean, sometimes you might have time and you look and then you go for it, but no, this was like a full point if you watch it. It was
unless it's like a blatantly easy overhead in doubles that's the one time you don't go for somebody.
I think even more, which makes more like off the bounce where the ball goes up and like you have time now and you hammer a ball at someone.
Yeah.
But like there are times where there's a high ball and you aren't close where like that's the exact play I'm going to choose. That's where we are playing a game.
Anybody who gets mad at that is like, why? What are we doing?
Right. I mean, we're playing a game.
You haven't really played. You haven't really played. Then it's like
exactly.
They actually played the game. If you're getting mad about that,
or like you'll see people get
but people look.
Someone rips a return.
But plenty of people look for that to like just they just look for like they're on edge about it. I don't know.
Which. Yeah, there's a video, man.
I mean, if you're playing doubles and someone rips a return at you, and you get mad about that, like, dude, they're at the baseline. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to tell you where they're supposed to not use that play?
Yeah, it's like,
there's okay, yeah. Watch this video. So there's Mahout playing a doubles match, and he gets hit three times by his opponents, but watch his opponent's reaction to it.
Oh,
he gets once,
He kind of moved into that though.
Yeah, got him in the head.
That was off the bounce.
Get him in the face.
Yeah. Now,
that was off the bounce.
I like the fist pump, and then I gotta check on this guy. All right,
wow. That's the doctor. You see his,
then he gets it again.
Checkup. Oh, doctor's holding the fingers. Like, how many fingers do you see?
Yeah.
He gets it again.
Yikes. Was that a lead cord?
No. Again.
He tried to cross.
Oh, no.
Again.
Oh.
Look, those
were 3 consecutive points, weren't they?
I don't know. Maybe they just show him. Whatever. Yeah, we can't.
Have you ever been tagged really bad out there?
I've definitely been hit, but nothing that I can remember that's like.
No, I mean
I've seen one that's bad. Somebody
took
got
one
hit.
in a warm up one time in high school in practice, like doing short court with a kid that like I reached for a ball and like popped it up, and he just hammered an overhead. Yeah, Milos Janicek. Fuck you. Came down, hit the court, and I took it coming up off the court right between the legs. Probably the worst hit I've ever had. Like never really, and maybe in other like action like a little bit, but never. You took it in the beak.
Oh right? Yeah. I was playing with. You took one in the face too, from me.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was actually worse than the nuts.
I forgot about that one too. I took one in the beak, from Greggy.
Yeah,
Greggy got me. Boom! The sound that I made.
That's a tough spot. There's not a lot of support in that area.
Yeah, that was. I got hit in the nuts too. Got hit in the nuts, and it's not pleasant. A couple of times.
Yeah, I mean it's.
What are you gonna do?
It happened.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Djokovic is coming back in Cincinnati. He's. I think he's not gonna play Toronto. Said he just needs a little time after the Wimbledon. And yeah, I don't know if I assume the big boys are all gonna start coming out now for the big 1,000 tournaments. And did you see it was on the WTA? It was there's a DC Open now. Pagula, I think, is #1 seed. But last week or 2 weeks ago, there was the Polish Open final score 6-0, 6-1
in the final.
Yeah, that's Swiatek beats Laura Sigmund, the German. And one thing I wanted to talk was speaking of funny situations. 2 rounds ago, Monfils plays Bublik, and the guy is serving. Bublik is serving, and Monfils starts walking. Just went to the chair. He got a warning for not competing hard, like non-compete or.
Yeah, or like going at the server's pace, don't you? Isn't there?
No, he gave up the point.
Oh.
He just walked off and gave up the point.
It was game point, or
it was game point, or he was mad and he was just looking at the chair umpire, and he got a warning. The guy was like, "You can't do that. You shouldn't do that." And he said something like, it's just I try hard every other point. It was just 1 point, Yeah, you know.
I'm not quite sure about that. Stand there. Well, like, was he getting?
Yeah, you're getting.
He couldn't
paid,
get returns and play or whatever.
Like paid.
Yeah, dude, stand there.
Walk off the court.
Yeah, people have come in to watch a show here.
Right.
Yeah. There's a product
Did they
that he
boo
put up.
him?
I don't know. It was just a small clip, but he won the match. So
really?
Yeah, he won the match.
It's a tough loss for that guy. The other guy to swallow.
Yeah, Bublik. That guy's a character too. He's like hits overheads turns the racket and hits it with a handle in the middle of the matches, and
really?
Yeah. He's pretty funny. He's a funny dude. Now a little bit on the technical side. We talk about conditions and rackets and in the summer, right? Chill time, playing outdoors, adjustments that need to be. We talk about cold temperature, but also hot ones, right? Like the balls, basically, if you play a match in a rainy or after rain day, like humid, or a super hot dry day. That's two different courts, 2 different balls. Interesting. That's you try to tell juniors all the time, like, just still before the back. It's hot outside. The ball's going. Or even adults. It's not everyone. Just that the geometry changes of the court, isn't it?
On the clay, you're talking.
Yeah.
Or just on.
Yeah.
any.
Even I think it's more amplified on clay other than.
Yeah.
The ball is what's crazy about that. When the ball starts flying or starts getting dead on you.
Yeah.
Even just in clinics, people are like, "Oh, these balls are so dead." I was like, "Well, they're the same ones we used yesterday, but the temperature is 15 degrees, 20 degrees different." What it like?
Yeah. And then even the air quality, man. The more humid that air is, right, the less that ball travels through. Not the less, but it's harder for the ball. Slower travels through that. When that air is thick or dry air, that ball flies.
Yeah.
If you ever play in a dry climate, that's really, really.
Yeah, when we went to, where were we? Tucson?
Oh, for your finals?
Yeah. Is that Tucson?
I think so.
Arizona,
yeah, in Arizona, yeah.
People are like, oh, make sure you do a little hitting out there. It's going to be different. I'm like, people are crazy, but
yeah,
it's crazy. They're right. You got out there and balls were flying.
Because the altitude, right? Was it?
Yeah. Like really flying on you. Whoa. Like you need a warm-up hit before you ever went out there. You would need, like, it would be in a match. It would take you. Yeah, dude, you'd be like, you'd go down the rabbit hole really quickly. You need a time to get out there to like adjust everything.
That's what they're talking. Even like how they talk about Madrid. It's such a high altitude. The clay is so different. It's the fastest clay court in Madrid. You'll see like big servers making it far and big players because it's almost plays like a hard court just because of that, just because of the air density, I guess. And another thing that I talking about when you know grips, obviously changing the grip and a humid day and being careful about that, but a lot of the times, man, I'm not sure. I try to tell kids all the time, and adults is on their own, but the importance of having your nails cut, man, all 20 of them. When you grip the racket, I've seen you know, mostly ladies, like I've seen like cuts from the nails, but it will change how you hold the racket if your nails are too big or whatever. You know, you got to be with that, but also on your toes. If you
sneakers,
the sneakers, man, it's gonna affect your running.
Yeah,
it's gonna really get as you know, but that's so important. Yeah, don't think of it. Even if you have like a slight pain there because of that nail, that's gonna influence the entire match. You gotta be aware when you, especially in the matches.
Yeah, I chew mine way down. So. But there are women that play with way long ones.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I think that changes how you hold the racket at times. Not for all of them, but for some of them. So that's something to be aware.
It definitely does.
Right?
Yeah.
That can be.
It's a weird thing. You see women in sports, in other sports, wearing them. I was like, my girls have long nails. Sometimes they're fake. I'm like, I can't believe they let them play lacrosse with those things, dude. You're jabbing at each other. They're not wearing gloves or anything, dude. You could take a fucking nail to the face from somebody else.
Yes.
You know, like it's a funny thing. Like they make, like a lot of sports, they make women take out like their earrings and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
or tape them, right?
Yeah,
tape your
same
rings.
type of thing. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Nails.
That's like an accessory, but sometimes it's not because it's part of them. Sometimes they're fake, but like
how can you enter that though? Yeah, if you hold it, I've seen cuts. Cuts, and I've seen people, kids mostly, like I thought they had an injury. I thought that like with your ankles, your knee, was like my toe, and then well, you got an ingrown nail. Cut.
Also,
cut
like
it.
Shoe size. If you play with too big of it, like my
That's
tennis shoes have to be exactly the right size, and different brands from brand. Yeah. Like if they're too, that's the worst feeling when you have a pair of shoes that are too big and you like
toe jam. Stop short. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you get.
This sport is so quick jab, you know, like
to change directions.
Change a direction.
That's the thing. That's why like a ingrown nail or like even a blister.
Oh, blister.
Which sounds like wimpy. Like it's wherever it is. It's not just like you're running a rhythm out here. You're like it's quick. Your weight's on it. It's off. You're pushing off. You need to be explosive. You can have something that can just take you apart, and it's like, you know.
And your body will shut down on it too, because they'll protect that area. Your body will like, I'm not gonna squeeze this hard. We're not gonna blister. How many of those guys defaulted the matches during the matches because of blisters? I mean, I've seen some nasty ones on their feet.
Yeah.
Talking about Rach is always saying like, I can't believe how much when I watch how much those guys are running. Like for 4 hours sometimes, 5 sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing, man. I feel like people don't always, maybe the casual fan doesn't even realize that, how long some of these matches go sometimes, where they're like 3.5, 4 hours. And by the way, there's not in between quarters. There's not halftime. They're like, okay, maybe taking a little time. There's some changeovers, but dude, that's like constant running in between there, where you're at your hardest, where it's like, I don't know, man, there's no to do that for 5 hours is like,
it's pretty impressive.
dude.
And to see what we're talking about the other day, like to see those guys being like drenched 4 games in and play. They actually, they didn't play 3 sets. It was 6-4, 7-5, but it was still, I'm sure that was an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. That's a lot of time to just completely lose your liquids and everything else that,
right.
you know, the energy that's being sucked by that.
Trim your nails.
Trim your nails. That's it. Juniors there, we're chatting the other day about, and we've talked about this before, but how we kind of changing our approach on teaching to put emphasis on movement because the demographic changed. Because I think the kids that are coming out, we talked about it before, they're coming out now, they don't have the amount of miles ran.
Right.
And that's why
they're just purely
chatting,
running.
Yeah, we're chatting how we're so focused on technique, and we are still focused on technique and all that stuff. But I think we are doing that on the assumption that those kids are, most of them, they can change direction, they can run, they can stop on time, and that's something that needs to be developed to some of them at this point. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the case 12, 15 years ago, or not as much. I don't want to talk in absolutes here because it's not. But I feel like it's something that you got to develop first, and on that platform, now you get your technique going and everything else. And then same with the junior end. Really, I jumped on the 5 and 6s the other day on Wednesday.
I saw the big ball out there.
So much fun, man! And it just
I was teaching my lesson and I just saw the ball going back and forth. This big
playing bononga ball with them, running around and just hit that. But it just made me not remember, because we do this all the time, like the importance, talking about teaching them and connecting them, like just to listen to them. Just to like hear their little stories, which for them, they're not little, they're big.
No, it's the biggest part of their day. Telling you about
just to like tell you about something or asking you about something and really, really like want that answer. And that doesn't need to be tennis.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Right.
Oh, man. That was the joy. And they, they try, but then obviously the playful mind goes, and it's important at times from a teaching perspective to remember that there's a social part to teaching. There's a very important, which can ease off the whole process of somebody learning just by being open. We talk about laughing. When you laugh, how open you are to information because you're relaxed and everything else. But yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, that age group is fun.
It is, man. Yeah. And they're just like full of life, and they, like I said, they're little stories in their little worlds. Everything is,
and how they interact with each other is hilarious,
right?
They're just like either they get along, they don't get along, but they still can kind of
right.
They figure it out.
They're good. And then it also connects them with you a little bit more. They trust you a little bit more when you listen to them. If you don't listen, you always tell.
Right.
You always like do this, do that. Like, all right, but there's a two-way street here. You listen to what I have to tell you about my book that I read or my little show that I'm watching.
Right.
That's so shifting a little bit from that openness and happiness and being free to play to complete panic. Let's discuss a little bit options and little tools when people are either nervous on the court, they have anxiety, they panic, the score doesn't need to be right away. The score gets to them, the fear of wronging something, which is the source of a lot, right? What would we tell somebody to? I wrote down the physiological side, so there's like how you get out of that. One, recognize it, right? Because you wanna recognize that you are in this state that you're nervous because your body completely changes.
Yeah.
All that blood goes now from your brain to your body because you enter this fight or flight or freeze mode, and you can't think really. Just first get yourself back, and that's that. This
deep breaths.
Physiological
that's
side.
Like an easy
so
one.
It's like
slow everything down.
Yeah.
Big ones.
So this physiological sigh, what you're just saying there, is 2 deep inhales. Not a break in between, and then a massive the exhale to be a bit longer.
Yeah,
and that's shifts your body from tension mode to just calming down.
Yeah.
And physiological signs, people want to look it up. That's but yeah, that's something I do tell people sometimes. Just first try to one, realize it and control the mechanism.
Yeah.
And then figure out what causes it. All right? Because we talk about it all the time, right? Fear of disappointing a partner, a teammate, a coach, fear of being judged by your shots, which is wrong. It shouldn't happen. It's just all of those things that sometimes enter people's minds. You got to get rid of. Be okay with losing. I find like if you enter a match being okay with the possibility of losing, everything is we're playing a game here. Let's not forget that. And you might lose and it's okay, but be okay with it. And I think that frees you up.
Yeah.
A lot of times I feel like, right? It's like you see you see teams like, they should crush. I feel like this is not going to be a match, and all of a sudden this becomes a tight match. And people that know that they should win easy, which you should never think like that. That match is tight, and all of a sudden everything is frozen there. A 7-6, 7-6 match or a 7-6 and a third match win is just as good as 6-0, 6-1.
Right.
You found a way, but
if not better sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
It's like
it's sweeter. Because that's a big one. That's the mental part. And of course, somebody entering the sport and playing 50, 60 matches total, that's not gonna have the same experience as somebody that played for 20 or 30 years. Because now your number of matches, your number of experiences are like tremendously higher. So not only that, the younger you get used to that, not used to it, but you're okay with the idea of losing, the less it affects you. The longer you go, the tougher it gets.
Yeah.
Because that's when you have that, again, child brain being fine with this, or you enter this scare mode that you collapse a game with life. I'm failing at life. You're not failing at life. You might lose a match. It's okay.
Right. Yeah, I feel like when I was younger, when I was playing, it wasn't so much the wins and the losses. It was just I had a certain expectation of myself that, I don't know, like you guys know, sometimes you go out there and just everything feels good. You may be playing win, maybe playing lose, but you're like, all right, this is a good match. I lost it. What I couldn't handle was when I'd go out there for, at the time I thought was no reason, and just shots wouldn't be there. I even had some matches that I won that I'd come off the court and be probably a cranky little bastard after, just because I was like, didn't like the way that I played out there. It wasn't really the wins and losses that got more of me. It was just this own expectation that I had of myself, which is such a stupid expectation, because if going out there and winning, when I'm not happy with how I won. Like the ultimate goal of me playing that match was maybe to get a win. Like you have all these other layers that but that would be, to me, like sometimes I'd have a loss that I'd come off and I'd be like, oh man, I think I just played my best tennis.
There you go.
Just way better.
But that's a healthy way of thinking.
It's way better. All right. So I just got tooled on, but I did everything.
Right.
What else can I do?
Yeah.
I can't control. I can go out there and try to, but that can be frustrating on the other end when you go out there and you're just like, I don't know, things have a feel when it's going right, and you just go out there sometimes and you're like,
you always talk about it. It's in the air. Yeah, it's just
and you're just like, man.
Don't you feel there's always something that if I can do this one thing, and it's tough to happen, right?
Well, that's why you hope that you have healthier ways to deal with it. I would be like, I'd be a slave to.
But even that was a routine, right? You're following a routine,
and rituals and stuff. Yeah, I guess. I guess, but it's now that's just another thing I'm worried about doing.
So you have that bad mental day, right? Wouldn't be the best, and it's easier said here than done on the court, but to acknowledge that I'm just having a really bad mental approach game here.
Yes.
Let's accept.
Yes.
Let's accept
that would be the easiest thing to do.
And then be like, all right, what do I have? What can I do? Or do you give up? Is it done? Or do you just try it? Because that's the battle you have to fight internally.
That is, but when you're like, I could never figure that when I was younger. I said I would just try harder and harder and harder, and you actually, that gets more infuriating because I'm like, I'm trying so hard, nothing's working. Now the breeze came right at this right time.
Yeah.
The whole fucking universe wants me to lose this goddamn match right now. Instead of just being like, wait,
Yeah, that's
for whatever reason, and be like, this is how I'm gonna have to play today. But let's at least remove the anger
Yes,
and all that from it.
because that
Be
will
like,
change.
let's just and
Right.
who knows? Maybe that's
Yeah.
what
Rars
changes
always
it,
says that.
you
Use
know?
the tools you have today,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
In practice, you can't.
That is a very
outside of the lines.
evolved, like the guy who's played for like
Right.
at 12 years old. You're
Yeah.
not like when you want to kick the guy in the nuts. You're like, actually, let me take a minute and use the tools that I have today. Like, no way that happened. No
That
way.
is true.
But maybe hearing someone say that
Say
to
it to
enough,
you when you're 12.
where
Yeah.
you might now
Right.
repeat it, even if you
Yeah.
don't get it, but that becomes like your
Yeah.
mantra. It's like, all right, let me use the tools that I have to. Now, maybe when you're 17,
You're like,
Yeah, you're
and
like,
you've said
fine,
it
yeah.
at times, you're like, all right, let me actually try to use the tools that I
This
have
is
for you
normal. This
here.
is something I gotta
Yeah.
learn from.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
easy, man. None of us. I mean, I know maybe you have. I didn't have those tools growing up. You don't. You just like, it again comes after X amount of
Right,
matches
yeah.
or maturity, or maybe it doesn't come. Maybe who knows. But you hope you're somebody that has that presence to understand that you're just in a mental state. It's not who you are. It's just in a different. You just enter a different room. Just get out of that room.
Yeah.
Right. You're controlling, but it's not easy.
No, not at all.
Not easy. And then we talked about like how you get you physically if you have a bad day, and you've been in a car, you've been at the office, whatever. You're just not moving, just activating a little bit the blood flow and do some extra sprints to make sure you split step, all those things. But the mental approach, I feel like, is the most paralyzing one for
Yeah,
people.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's that can, and then people come out of that state when the match is over and they don't realize what the heck
Well,
happened.
it's so strong that it can actually leave a hangover for your next match.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It can
At all
You can
levels.
you can be a shot that you normally can hit. It's just really off a match. Now the next while you're warming up, you're like, man, I hope this is better than last time. And you do it. You don't connect right once, and you're like, oh my god, it's still happening. Like it can.
Right.
Good luck getting out of that.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. Yeah, that's a really to kind of forget about the last loss, about or like, yeah.
Even through college, maybe even after a little bit, and I would know how to play the game. I knew the grips. My grips would start to change.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't even realize it. Yeah, my backhand, so my right hand would start to turn
That makes sense.
more
because
over
you
this way.
You
And
just
I think
had
it was like,
just
and
had a
then
curl, you had a muscle.
eventually I wouldn't
Yeah.
even be able to hit because you turn over so quickly when that happens. You can't even get over the top of the ball so quick, and I wouldn't even be able to hit a backhand. And then like occasionally it'd be like Daniel, somebody out there would be like, dude, what's happening? Like turn now and then would be aware of it when it would start to happen. I would catch myself, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm not even. This is a sport I've played my whole. How am I not even holding the racket right to hit it? Like how can that happen after so many reps? But I think it wasn't physical. I think it was triggered mentally from me, like being getting so.
And you get into this like tight fist mode, and that's you get under.
Yeah,
man. Everybody has that's it, right? Or like you see, I've done it too. Like if your feet almost stop moving, right? You're just in this lethargic state, or like you said, your wrist locks.
Man, yeah, your feet totally give out on you.
Yeah, that's another concept that it'll be cool to explore a little bit is that you have your talk about the normal positioning in singles and doubles and all that stuff, but looking a little bit from the level or the type of player you're playing at, the adjustments you have to make, the situational adjustment, and the importance of realizing that. Like I'm just talking specific, like let's say you have your net positioning, right? And you stay, whatever you stay the net when your partner's serving. If that person hasn't hit yet a down the line shot, why not make that adjustment, right? If that person never lobbed you, why not stay a little bit closer? So kind of like breaking the normal, your textbook positioning until you get challenged there. I think that's a big part that at times is not utilized enough.
I think the less training you have, the more likely you are to pick up on that stuff.
Yeah.
Meaning that like sometimes people that don't play that much and they're like, they haven't had that much training and they'll say something like that, and my instinct is to correct them sometimes on a court, even as a coach, be like, hey, and they'll be like, but they haven't done this.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, stand there for a little bit. I'm just saying, in most of the time, I'm like, this is a situational adjustment you're making, which is what we're doing. But like, I think someone who hasn't had that much training, they're more likely to pay attention to like what's actually happening, and this is how I should react,
Yeah.
rather than someone sets some training, they're like, well, this is where I stand. And meanwhile, they're getting laced up on something, and they're like, well, this is where I keep standing. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like the more...
And then we come in, we tell them, hey, you should have made the adjustment.
Yeah. Right.
Can't win.
Right. But like I do think the less training you're more observant
of what's going on.
of what's actually going on, rather than being like, well,
What
this
do
is
I
what
need
this
to
is what
do?
I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, let me just look across the net and see who is standing there today and seeing what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's again those two modes that you're in. You're in your self-development mode, where you try to do the right thing that you learn and apply it and so forth, or you're in competitive mode, where you're reading what's on the other side and you subconsciously react to that only.
Yeah.
So it's which part? Because if you are in the self-development mode, you're gonna try to do the right thing, hit the correct shot, which in a match should not happen.
Yeah.
Not should not happen. You should not think about it. You just play in whatever you have in your toolbox that you use. But I think a lot of the times, like you said, people now start learning about the sport. They learn the correct positioning, and which it is, but that's ground zero. It doesn't mean it's not going to change.
Right.
And you try to follow it to the T, but again,
Right.
not everyone on the other side has every shot that you have to cover.
Right.
So now you make the adjustment per that. If somebody serves you wide all day long
you're
and
not
never
gonna
hit you a
stay
T,
in your same
Right.
shift over 5 feet. We talked about that.
Right.
Let him prove to you.
Yeah.
Let him prove him that I'm not going to keep the positioning that will cover both serves. But that's not an easy tool that somebody can really use.
I'm always amazed at the amount of people that I'm running to in clinics or private lessons that don't actually watch their opponent strike the ball.
That's big.
They're like, have you had an experience in a lesson where like I'll slice a ball and it'll like come in sort of kind of high and floaty, and they're like running back to the curtain, and the thing bounces, and they're like not in the same zip code, and like, oh geez, I didn't even take that. I'm like, did you see me hit that ball? Did you see the where? Like, it's pretty obvious.
Right.
It's either coming from low down. Like, if you're not, by the way, like not only will the speed and the line of the ball be your earliest info. Am I moving in? Am I moving out? Am I moving left or right? The way someone strikes it is also going to tell you what the ball is going to do after the bounce. So there's like a whole lot happening right, and it's obvious. You don't have to be that trained. If someone comes from above a ball and cuts down, it's going to have backspin. If they're comfortable, it's going to have topspin. But like that now, as the ball's coming in, you have a little bit more info. And then I can't figure out what else for me. It just seems so natural. Where else would your eyes be when you're playing a game with a ball when your opponent's striking it? But it's super common. Have you ever heard people saying that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So where would your eyes be? What would you be watching?
Or
it's just like it blends in. They're like thinking about what they have to do, and it's like background. But it shouldn't be background.
No.
It should be.
No, I think they're just waiting for they're waiting for the ball to come to them for them to execute their task, versus taking one step further to read what that ball's coming from to get more information there. I think they're just focused on the self-development task here, being in the right spot, doing the correct shot. That they just wait for the ball to be fed to them for them to work on whatever they're working on or whatever they're developing at that moment. But if you shift, I think just types and stages of development there. Now you know what to do this if the ball goes there. But now let's read to see if we can tell where the ball's going.
Right.
Is it high or is it low? Do you really need to do this movement now or not? Is that necessary? So but I mean, like everything else, just hits, right? Hits and matches.
Yeah.
That will get you there and understand that. But I think that's it. I think there's like a level of comfort. I think we learn, when you learn something very specific, right? Even how to hold a racket. That's a very specific learning like space. And then you focus on your elbow. Then you focus on your shoulder. So you expand the circle that you feel comfortable with. Now I know my wrist is doing, I know my shoulder's doing. Now let's focus on point of contact. That's my bubble of focus.
Yeah.
And if I transfer that mentality into playing,
I'm looking at
you're looking at what you're doing, and it's only in this little bubble, right? Over time, right? You read that ball from the moment it crosses the net, then maybe 20, 30 matches later, if you pay attention, you start reading it from the racket.
Right.
Then you can read it to the point where when you hit, you know what they're going to hit.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the level you want to get to.
Right.
But I think it's just circles of confidence.
Which is funny because you eventually get there. And that's one of those things sometimes, like we say things sometimes we don't realize just in like, and they're like, oh, did you see what you did with that ball? Like, you should have expected that coming out. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, dude. Give me a break.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what that ball's doing until after it bounces on my side.
Exactly.
Now you're asking me what it's going to do based off what I just did?
What I just hit, yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I know. I know.
Like, no way.
I know.
But it does get there. It
Does get there eventually. And I think it's just like, you expand your circle of confidence. I don't know. Maybe not, but that's the way I see it. I don't know, do we attack a couple more things, or do we just...
What time we got? Where are we at?
I think we're an hour and a half.
You feel like you got anything you really want to get
think
to?
that's...
Or?
No, the subconscious mode is... No, I mean, there's a couple other ones, but we can save those for later. It's a good hour
It's
and a half.
starting to get a little warm.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I am.
When Dolphy starts yawning, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's getting hot in here.
That's when we know to end
It
it.
was like that other day. I think he was actually in like shock. I looked over at him one point. He was
Oh,
like,
the last one? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He was
Yeah.
like, I'm like, wait, is Dolphy dying next to me
He
here?
was
Is
just,
he-
yeah.
It was actually hotter the next time.
It was
one
when
that
it
I
was-
didn't
Time after
do, right?
when
Yeah.
Ellis was in here at that last
Yeah, it was
time.
5 of us
I don't think
there.
I did it.
No,
No,
there was a lot of
right.
us in here.
It was hot outside.
Dude.
It was very hot.
This is
I
a
was
tough
like-
room when it's really
It
hot
is, yeah.
outside.
Well, we're in summer mode,
Yeah.
so we just
Yeah, I mean, there's
just keep them
equipment.
shorter. There's equipment. It's all
there's
good.
Enough, there's enough there. But the equipment, dude, even talking,
Yeah.
body heat starts to...
All right. Thanks.